Hello, Fit Family. I am so excited about this week's episode on our podcast. I have a special guest. You know, I love sports. I have former NFL player Dorsey Levens. I don't think this is a first. I've never had a football player that I've interviewed on my podcast, probably not even ever at all. So, this is a big thing for me, especially loving sports. Being a medical director for 3 different school districts, I have to cover football all the time, football games all of the time. So my prayer is for everyone to start the game safely, end the game safely, and healthy and whole. But I see that he played 8 seasons with the GreenBay Packers, and that's a long time. But we're going to get more into that later because I know most football players don't last that long. But he's also made several appearances as Super Bowls, and I think they even won a Super Bowl championship with the team that he was on. So go football, go Dorsey. But it seems like he's been into everything. You think I do a lot. I think he has me beat. Sportscaster, actor, producer, and then now I hear that he's also a fitness coach. So I think you might have me beat, Dorsey. So I'm just like, but you do have me beat because I think you actually did a tour traveling with Tyler Perry on one of his Madea's play.
Madea on the Run. The last time we went out on tour. I think it was a while, like 2018 maybe.
But it doesn't matter. You still doing stuff. So you're all over the place. And I mean, I don't even know when you sleep because from what I know, you're also teaching exercise class, like 6 days a week. So you might actually have me beat. But with that being said, Dorsey, thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of the podcast. One of the key things is, especially with you playing football in the past and then me being a school district doctor, I am so concerned with our young people being out on the field and overheating. Because here in New York, our temperatures are like 80s and 90s, and some of the kids have already started their training. So for you being a former football player, how did you guys keep cool when you were having to train out in the heat? Because every Saturday I've been having these free workouts in the park, but we start like before 7 o'clock, before it gets too hot. We're in the shade. What do you recommend that people do when they're outside to prevent getting overheated?
First thing is make sure you're hydrated. That helps a lot. You know, have a lot of liquids in you because you're going to lose a lot of fluid when it's hot. Mm-hmm. Listen, I'm in Atlanta. It's like the devil moved in across the street. It's blazing hot.
You're in Atlanta.
I'm in Atlanta. So, when I played, I did the same thing you did. You know, I trained with a track coach 3 times a week, and at one point we were starting at 10 a.m. And it was like, this is not going to work. We got to come out here at 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Oh yeah,
during the coolest part of the day. So, I mean, you're doing the right things. You're definitely doing the right thing.
Wow. So, I mean, what we need to do is make sure that we encourage people to drink half their body weight, of course, because you said hydrate. So I just have to do a little disclosure. Make sure you're drinking water because we say drink. People know, Dorsey, I had people say, oh, so you told me I could drink. So, I had a couple of beers. No, I want you to drink water. So if you weigh 160 pounds, divide that by 2, that's 80. So 80 ounces of water. And if you're doing intense exercise, I should say just add like another 20 ounces to that. But that is key to stay hydrated, just like you said, because you need to sweat, because the moment you're outside and you're not sweating, that increases the likelihood of you progressing to heat stroke. And that becomes an emergency where you need to be cooled down and admitted to a hospital for your care.
Also, electrolytes in your water also helps a little bit.
Okay. And when you say electrolytes, what electrolytes would you recommend? Because you are the professional out here, because you were out there. I'm busy in the air conditioner.
I don't have, so I take amino acids before I work out, and there are electrolytes inside the amino acids. So that's where I get mine from.
Okay. So you heard it from the professional. He's the one who was out there playing in the heat with all the pads and everything on. I'm in the air conditioner. I'm venting out when I feel it's nice and comfortable. But we're gonna go into my favorite section, which is the Fit Doc Michelle Reed in real life. So my in real life thing was, you might not know, but I actually was the coach for my kids' basketball game when they were probably about 7 years old, and they won their first basketball game. And you know what?
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I wasn't their real coach. My husband was their real coach, but I was the coach for the day. I was the coach that coached them to their first basketball game for the season.
Look at you. Congratulations.
Yeah, I got one up on you. That's my other. So maybe I'm catching up to how many jobs you got.
Yeah. I remember when my daughter was about 7, we tried to get her to play basketball, and I went to her first game, and everybody was going one way, and she was going the other way, smiling at mom and dad. She's like, what are we doing here? So that didn't last too long, to say the least.
Wait, what's her name?
Amaya.
Amaya is a young lady after my own heart, because I've done like 3 marathons. So like training, you always run races. So my friends would laugh, and I'm like, okay, I got my lipstick on, because you always got to look good for the pictures. And they would give us a map as to like where the cameras were. So that's what she was doing. Amaya was looking for the cameras.
She found them.
So jumping right in, okay. What is a little known fact that maybe people don't know about Dorsey?
That I have a mindset training company centered around mindfulness. It's called
That
Remind.
wasn't part of what I just talked about. You got me beat now.
Yeah. I got one more thing, and this is I got a few more things actually, but we don't have that much time. So this program is called Remind. It's a play on words. We're going to redo your mind, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at life from a different perspective, and you change the way you think, so you're not stressed and worried, and the anxiety is not taking over you.
Mm.
It's just like working out, really. The brain is like a muscle.
Mm-hmm.
The more you work it, the stronger it gets.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm at a point in my life where, and like anything else, it takes time and it takes practice. Whichever way we've been thinking this way our whole lives.
Mm.
So it takes time to kind of change that. So Remind comes in with the reminders daily that this is how you want to live. This is how you want to not stress out, when there's traffic. You're in LA, right?
We're in New York.
Or you're in New York. Well, same things. Traffic is bad. People from all over the place. People drive kind of crazy. So just kind of puts you in the right mindset and the right frame of mind. So because Atlanta's traffic is bad here. And I tell people all the time when I do my seminars, if you're going to be mad when there's traffic in Atlanta, you're going to be mad your whole life. Like there's a different way we have to approach this and look at this. So we're not laying on the horn and screaming at people all day, every day, because it's not a healthy way to live, right? Stress will literally kill you. And you're a doctor, so you know that.
That's right. So then what made you decide to start this? And like when you were, because you didn't just wake up one day and become an NFL player.
Right.
But so you probably started training as a young child and then all the way through. So were you having that mindset back then?
I did, and I didn't even know it. Really the main thing that I teach is keep the main thing the main thing. If you want to be a football player, that's where all your focus should be. So many times we get distracted by things that don't matter and things that we ultimately don't care about. And the thing that we're trying to accomplish gets pushed to the side. So the main thing is, for me, I play football all the time, or I play basketball. I was always outside. To be good at anything and to be great at anything, you have to do it a lot. I was told that extraordinary people aren't born extraordinary. They do the ordinary things, but they do them extra. That's what makes you extraordinary. So it was a life full of just playing sports. Every chance I got, I was playing basketball or football or running track or out in the streets playing. And, that's being an athlete was my main focus. So that's why I'm successful.
But then I was going to say, but then did you see yourself going into the NFL? And then once you were in the NFL, did you realistically say, you know what, I'm going to play like 8+ years? Or 8+ seasons, because that is highly unusual.
You have to have a mindset where you just go out there and you work your hardest.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever happens is going to happen, because as there are no guarantees in life.
Mm-hmm.
Less than, I think it's like 0.01% of high school kids make it into the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So chances are you're not going to make it.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
You
that's
know,
true.
so my mindset was just play hard and just see what happens. You know,
Mm.
and just see what happens. When I got to the NFL, I was a fifth round pick. There were no guarantees I was going to make the team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had to make the team. I remember the last day of cuts, I was sweating bullets, right? Because there's a guy that we used to call the Grim Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
He come around to your dorm room during training camp. He knock on your door and say, "Coach wants to see you. Bring your playbook."
Mm. Wow.
That means you're going home. You know, so I think one of the things too that kept me on top. I was always uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I never
Which
knew
is
I was.
good.
It
Which
is
is good.
good. Yeah,
Because
because
I always tell people like you have to be uncomfortable in order to progress to the next stage.
that's where all the growth happens, outside of
Mm-hmm.
your comfort zone. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're comfortable, chances are you're not growing. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, one of the benefits of being uncomfortable is that I always worked hard,
Mm-hmm.
always trained hard, always knew that there's a draft every year. There's somebody
Mm-hmm.
coming to take your job
Mm-hmm.
every single year. And like we talked about earlier, the average NFL career is 2.7 years.
Mm.
So even with that small percentage of guys that make it, they're not going to play very long.
Mm-mm.
You know, so I always kept my options open. I always was like, you know what? If this is the main thing, let me focus on the main thing. And when it doesn't happen anymore, it's just it's time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of my program is based around accepting reality as it is, and not having regrets or resentments or going, man, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have
Mm-hmm.
done that. There were guys that would train with us during the off season. There's a group of us, a core group of guys. A bunch of guys went to the Hall of Fame, won Super Bowls. But training was our number one job. We woke
Yes.
up in the morning, we trained. What we ate was based on football. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
want to eat right, you want to live right. So um, the main thing was the main thing.
Wow. But then I'm fascinated by the fact that you played that long. Talking to you, you seem mentally intact, so psychologically intact,
Yes.
um, physically intact because you're also a trainer. Um, how do you think? And I mean, yes, I do believe in God, but how do you think that you, after playing for all that time, you were able to protect that brain?
Uh, I don't know. You know, so right, I am a producer. I'm a filmmaker. So I did a documentary called Bell Rung, probably 15 years ago, before any of this concussion stuff had hit mainstream media. I
Mhm,
realized that there were guys who were committing suicide. So I did some research, and I did a documentary on it.
mhm.
Um, here's the thing: we all have CTE, which is, you know what CTE is?
Yes.
Everyone who plays football has it.
Mhm,
Everybody. What we don't know is that why some people can live a normal, healthy life expectancy, and other guys kind of go off the deep end.
mhm,
And sometimes it happens later in life.
mhm,
You know, knock on wood, I'm good, but there's
mhm.
still some concern
Yes,
because I don't know.
yes.
You know, so that's always a worry for me, a concern. I got an 8-year-old son. His mom is like, absolutely not. He's not playing football, right? And I'm like,
Sounds
hey,
like me.
yeah, I get it. I get it. You know, so he's excelling in soccer right now, which
Mhm.
also has a high concussion rate, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Women's soccer has the highest concussion rate of any sport.
Mhm.
Any
That's
sport.
true.
So obviously, we all care about our kids and we want them to be safe. But there are risks involved in playing sports,
Mhm.
especially football.
Yes. I mean, because like I said, my prayer every day is for everyone to finish the game healthy, strong, intact. But I can recall when I was the doctor for a championship game, and this was like a Long Island championship game, and one of the kids was stumbling. And I was like, "Oh, we got to call this. Like, we have to call this like right now." And parent was sitting behind me, it was a grandparent, and no, don't pull him out. Don't. I was like, he's going out. And she starts yelling at me, like, don't you realize that this is his last game? And I was like, I told the athletic director, I was like, you need to talk to her because right now my attention is on him. And luckily, where we were playing, it was a university. So the ambulance was there. And long story short, when our regional newspaper decided to write an article on concussion, who do you think they did it about? Him. Out of all the kids that they could have chosen, like he was the center page focal point of the article. And he said that all I can remember was listening to the school doctor's voice, and I heard her. And after that, I didn't hear anything else. So it's really important that we continue to protect the minds of our athletes, because it can happen in any sport at all that they're playing. So I'm glad that they've changed the legislation for that. But jumping right back to you, what made you, after you retired, do the thing to retire from football, do all the different things that you ventured into?
You have to reinvent yourself over and over in life, right? And you can't play football forever.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to find something else to do. I was really just looking for an opportunity to get into the film industry and the concussion stuff, because I played football and it was alarming to me. That was a direction I was pulled in. And speaking of that, I tell parents when I talk to them, there's no little league game that's worth your kid's life.
Mm-mm.
There's none. There's something called second impact syndrome, where the kids get a first concussion, they don't get the time to heal.
Mm-hmm.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, and they go back in. And that second one, I featured a kid on my documentary who had a concussion. They had the big game the following week. He wasn't ready to play. Went in, he got hit, started going into convulsions. They had to airlift him to a hospital, give him a craniotomy to release the pressure off his brain. And there's no game,
nope,
at any level, not even the Super Bowl, that is worth your life.
Nope.
But like you said, parents, they get tunnel vision. He's going to be fine. No, he's not. You're risking his life. And that's what needs to be understood.
Yes. So as you reinvented yourself, you became a producer. And then did you do the producing first or the acting first?
I started taking acting classes before I retired.
Really?
Yeah. I was in Green Bay, and people in Green Bay, Wisconsin hate when I say this. There's nothing to do up there. There's just not. It's cold. It's freezing. I'm not. They're like, well, you can go ice fishing or snowmobiling. And I'm like, yeah, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing none of that cold weather stuff. But all I did was watch movies, and watching movies made me more curious about the other side of the camera. So that's where that started.
Wow. And then you realize, of course, because I can see like you being a fitness coach, like how that tied into it, because that's all you did your entire life basically was to exercise. But then what made you decide to become a fitness coach to work with other people?
Well, I'm a spin instructor. So life is going to take you where it takes you. So all the old football injuries and stuff like that, I used to jog on nature trails here all the time. And my knees just aren't cooperating anymore. They're like, nah, we're not doing that. So my comfort zone, where I can exercise without limping off the bike, is the spin bike. So that's life is taking me here. If I could still go run 6 miles a day, I would. It ain't happening.
But then now, how do you keep, because I mean, people walk in, they might feel intimidated because you look muscular and everything. You are a former NFL football player. So how do you not make people feel like, okay, you can't achieve what I achieve, like, because you don't have that mentality. Like, how do you welcome people into your class?
Well, first off, most people don't even know I played football.
Really?
Like I'll tell people to follow me, and they'll come back and be like, oh my God, I didn't know. Like, yeah. So before every class, I give a speech. This is a judgment-free zone. Do what you can until you can do more. You got to rest, towel off, grab some water. Whatever you got to do to make it through this class, I'm fine with. Because I'm an instructor. I teach 6 times a week. You shouldn't be able to keep up with me. You shouldn't. If you can, I'm a terrible instructor. Right? So it's just making you feel there's no pressure. I'm not going to scream and holler at you and tell you to turn your resistance up. That's not who I am. So just go at your own pace. We're all at different levels of exercising. We're at different levels of our life. I have a lady who's 65 years old who comes to my class. She kills it. She's dancing on the bike and she's bopping and she's smiling. It's just wherever you are in your life, if that's what whatever you can do, do it.
Mm. And now, have you inspired any of your former football players to change their lifestyles, like instead of being sedentary, to like continue with the exercise?
I'll mention it. I'll mention it. You know, I've since I've been working at where I'm working at now, probably 8 or 9 months. I've had maybe two of my former players, my former teammates, come.
Mm.
And that's it. You know, and one of the things I teach in my mindfulness program, you can't change people.
Mm-hmm.
You have to you have to want to change yourself. So with that understanding, I'm not going to ask you 100 times to come to my spin class.
Mm-hmm.
I'll ask you once, this is what I'm doing. You want to come? You want to come? Fine. If not, but it is, you know, I've lost a lot of former teammates
Mm-hmm.
to weight issues as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as a matter of fact, one of my old Georgia Tech teammates, James Reese, passed away about a month ago. He came to my class probably 3 months before that.
Oh, wow.
He's like, man, he's like, once I get in better shape, I'm gonna come back.
Wow.
You know, and ironically, he passed away. He had a heart attack on a bike outside trying to get in shape.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, riding his bike. So, and he's one of many. You know, so guys have to be very aware of their weight, especially some of the old offensive linemen who were big to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just got to be careful.
Yes. And I mean, for me, like I always encourage people, like, make sure you get cleared by your physician if it's not me, but at the same time, find something that's reasonable for you to do. Just don't think like, oh, because, you know, you used to play basketball all the time that you can go out there and just run a pickup game. It's a gradual thing. Because even, you know, I see that, you know, people are having heart attacks and strokes because they think that mind is still the same, but the body is totally different when it comes to doing the exercise. Like you're not that same person. But how do you stay motivated? I mean, I'm not going to say it gets boring, but how do you personally stay motivated when everything around you and you're hearing about different teammates that are passing? What makes you say, okay, I can do it, I'm gonna keep doing it, I'm gonna like do those 6 classes and keep up with the Remind program?
I want to be alive. You got to move. You know, you got to stay fit. There's no secret formula. You know, it's not magic. You got to work out.
Mm-hmm.
You got to work out. And as you know, working out, you feel better.
Mm-hmm.
You feel better. You look better. You're in a better mood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we all want to be happy. And that's part of looking good is happy.
And then how does like your mental health tie into what you do? Because I've heard of like football players having anxiety and depression. And that's not to say you, but you know, do you feel that with your exercise, it plays an important role with your mental health?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Just a good sweat will change your day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially early in the morning, it changes your whole mood. So absolutely. You know, the more I can do it, there was a time like when I first retired, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take some time off. I've been working out my whole life. I'm sick of it. I'm just gonna do nothing. And then I got fat, and I'm like, you know what? This is unacceptable. I can't be like I can't.
Wait. So when you say fat like
fat for me, like 260 pounds.
And right now you're how much?
215.
Okay, yeah. You were a bigger guy.
Yeah. I remember I was in South Beach and I put a wife beater on and I looked in the mirror. I was like, you can't go outside looking like that, man. You just can't.
Well, you know what? You could, but
could.
when you looked at the picture of how you look, you might not like it.
I didn't like the picture in the mirror. You took that off.
Yes. And I mean, and that's what I find too. Like sometimes you have to be your own motivation. Like you can't rely on other people to do it for you. So one of my friends, she's away for like the next week or two, but I'm going to work out with or without her. The humidity is a killer right here, right about now, but I have everything set up inside that I can work out inside before work or after work. And then if I feel good enough, you know, I can convince maybe my husband to go walk on the boardwalk with me or something like that. But I think internally, and that's why your program Remind is probably a good thing, is just to remind us the importance of knowing what we have to do and just being consistent with it.
Yeah. Everything starts and ends up here.
Mm-hmm.
If you can convince yourself to do it, your body's going to follow. Right. But it's all up here, because up here you can also say, you know what? I'm going to stay in this bed today because it's raining outside. and the air is nice and chilly and I'm comfortable, that's just as easy to do, right? But if you convince yourself that this is what you want to do, and then after you do it, 66 days is what it takes to form a new habit.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes habitual and you don't even think about it. Like for me, I don't spin class is just a part of my day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not work or anything. It's just it's feel good for me.
So then let me ask you a question. So is your spin class your only exercise, or do you have like other exercises that you do?
So after my spin class, I do core work,
Mm-hmm.
and I just started a high intensity interval training class at the place where I'm at.
Okay.
For 45 minutes. So that's cool too. Where you go from weighted machine to weighted machine, 45 seconds on, 15 seconds off. So you get cardio and you get strength training all in the same workout.
Okay, good. Yeah, I mean, because you know what happens is I think people sort of feel like, okay, that's all he does. But, you know, we have to make sure people know, like, okay, that's one thing that I do. That's your job. But at the same time, you're getting the workout. But then there are other parts of your body that you are working out on, which are just as important, especially the core.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And one of the biggest things, too, as far as maintaining the way you look is the way you eat.
Mm-hmm. Good. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. As the saying goes, you can't out-train your diet.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. So you have to eat the right way. And I think for me, as a football player, I ate horribly. It was fast food every single day. I couldn't cook, didn't want to cook. But then as you get a little older, that metabolism slows down and you got to change the way you eat. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things for me is just changing my diet. You know, no fried foods, mostly fish, chicken, vegetables. Bread is still my weakness.
Wait. So when you have bread, what's your favorite type of bread to have?
So I'm a big sub guy. Subs. So I'll get a foot long and go to work. That's my thing, bread.
Yeah, because like a biscuit, a nice warm biscuit, and you put some
Red Lobster
butter. No, homemade biscuits with honey and butter.
I don't have biscuits in my house. I know who I am as a person. So I can't have snacks or anything in my house. I can't, because I know me well enough that if it's here, I'm going to eat it.
Well, you know what? I like to say that God decided to make me gluten-free. So I feel the difference. So I have to like say, do I want to feel that certain way or do I not want to feel a certain way? And every now and then I was like, okay, I'm just going to go with it and just have. Yes. But you know, and that goes back into like making sure that you listen to your body. And I think it's important, especially for parents who have children that are playing any sport, not just football, to make sure you're paying attention to your child, not just the sport that they're playing and thinking that, you know, their end point is to be a professional athlete. Their end point is to finish out their season strong and healthy, because the brain is very fragile. But at the same point, you want them to enjoy it. And when it becomes something that they don't enjoy, as a parent, we can't force them to continue to do it. So it's listening to your child and how they feel and making sure that they are honest with you as to how they feel. Because there are so many kids that when I examine them after, you know, they've had a concussion, you know, they're like, I feel good. And I'm fine. And I'm trying to clear them to see whether or not they can start the return to play protocol. And I start shining a light in the eyes and they're going like this. You're not okay. You're still having light sensitivity. Yeah. So don't, you know, not tell the truth because you're trying to get back into the game. You have to remember to stay healthy. So now, do you have any tips for not just like young athletes who are aspiring to go into the NFL, but, you know, young athletes who want to play at that next level, be it high school or college? What would you like to say to them?
Whatever sports you play, do it as much as you possibly can. That's how you get better. It's the law of repetition, right? Anything you do, anything you choose to do in life, if you do it continually, you'll become good at it. You know, I'll tell a story about when I played ball. One of the Nike reps and I was with Nike, and he tells me a story about LeBron James. And he says, when we brought him out to Oregon to the Nike campus, just to show him around and, you know, to introduce themselves to him, he had a little break. So he's like, can we go to the gym? So he goes to the gym. And my rep says he and his son are feeding him the ball for 4 hours.
Wow.
And they go, "Hey man, we're kind of tired. Can we take a break?" And he goes, LeBron says, "Okay, 500 more shots and we can go."
Wow.
These guys who are great, it's not by mistake. You don't wake up great. That's not how it works. You got to put the work in, but the work will pay off. It will pay off, and you'll see yourself get better, and your confidence will grow. You got to put the work in, though. You have to. That's the one thing I can impress on young people.
Mm-hmm.
You have to hit the gym. You have to get outside your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Which means probably every workout I had in the summertime here in Atlanta when I played, I felt like I was going to die halfway through the workout. Right?
You said the key thing you thought.
Yeah, you thought. Right? But I would always remind myself, and I got it from Carlito's Way, the movie. When he got shot, he was being pulled off the gurney at the end. He goes, "Don't panic. You've been here before."
Mm-hmm.
So every time I get lightheaded and I can't breathe and I'm like, "Oh my God, this is ridiculous." Don't panic. You've been here before. You're not going to die. You're just out of breath.
That sounds like me when I was like training for one of the marathons. I was like, "They're trying to kill me." Yes. And my coach was like, "But did you die?" And I was like, "Did I ask you for that?" So before we wrap it up, if you can just tell us one thing that maybe no one else really knows about you. So like a fun fact.
A fun fact. A big animal lover, maybe. I love animals. I just love wildlife.
Do you see my face? Like, okay, that's not a fun fact.
That's not a fun fact. I'm kind of boring. Like I don't have, everything about me. You read my bio. I got nothing. There's nothing else.
All right. So you love animals. What type of animals do you love?
Just all types of animals. Just all. I do a podcast called the Green and Gold G Lounge, and I was telling a story. I made a mistake, and I started feeding a squirrel on my patio.
Oh, squirrel?
A squirrel. No, I mean, just all animals, but this is my squirrel story.
Uh-huh.
So I started feeding him, and then he started coming every day. And he would sit and look in the window and look at me like, "Hey, man, I know you see me. Bring me the food." So I stopped feeding him because he was coming every day, and he was annoying. He was like scratching at the window. Mm-hmm. So I like fresh air. My patio door was open, and I'm sitting down, and I live alone. And I see something move out the corner of my eye. Dude came in the house like, "If you ain't gonna bring me the nuts, I'm gonna come get him." So we make eye contact, and I'm like, "Oh, he's gonna go. Oh, there he is. I should run out." He just sits there and looks at me like, "The kitchen is this way, right? This is where." So I chase the squirrel out of the house. Mm-hmm. I sit next to the patio door. I have my laptop in front of me. I look up again. He's walked past me. He right after I chased him out, he came right back in. So that's my squirrel story.
Okay, so I'll give you a pass. That was a good one. I'm just happy that he did not attack you.
He did not.
But yeah, no, that was a good fun fact.
I'm sorry, I'm boring.
No, that was a good one because it could have gone so many different ways, but he came in the house looking for you because he knew that you were the man that had what he wanted. And my
son named him Nuts. That's the squirrel's name, Nuts.
Oh man, he's like, but you ended that relationship real fast.
Yeah. You cannot be in my house, sir.
All right, so we thank you so much, Dorsey, for being a part of the show. And how can we best, if anybody wants to get in contact with you, what's the best way to reach you via social media?
Instagram, Dorsey Levens 25.
Okay. And we're also going to make sure that we share that in the caption so that they know how to reach you. But deeply appreciate for you coming in, talking about everything that has gone on in your life, from sports to acting to producing to being a business person and being a squirrel lover and a lover of animals. And I invite everyone to continue to follow Fit Michelle Reed podcast on across the media, being social media, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, and YouTube. And most of all, if you are in town, you can join us for our Saturday free workouts. Just bring a good attitude and a yoga mat. And if you're not able to make it to the park at Hempstead Lake State Park, Field 1, just tune in on Instagram and Facebook. And until next time, let's all stay mentally fit and physically strong together.